remember that being here is going to contribute to a quiz grade. So you want to make sure that you're here and ready to rock and roll. So again, text your friends, tell them to make sure that they are here and ready to go. Great, getting a few stragglers. If you are just coming in, please pull up the Google Classroom assignment as well as the Nearpod. I have 8 people in the Nearpod, so I should have several more. So let's go ahead and get that done. We are going to get officially started in 1 minute. Great, let's go ahead and get started. So I am going to set up my screen the way I have you guys set yours up. And there we go. Just got a couple more. Great, so as always, please make sure you have your video on, your microphones off. Please join Nearpod. I'm gonna read aloud who I have. I have Caleb, Ciara, Dwayne, Giovanni, Heaven, Kayla, Mela, Mahmoud, Michael, Samaj, Shakwasia, Takia, and Yadi. So let's make sure we are getting into the Nearpod so we can follow along, because it is going to be a lecture today. So you will need to follow along with the slides for lectures and the Think Alouds. I promise next week there will not be nearly as many lectures as there have been in the last 2 weeks. Just a reminder of our APUSH norms. Remember, we are all in. Your attendance and cold call responses are going to impact a quiz grade every week, which you will see show up in your grade book in just a few hours. And a 100% on a quiz grade can do wonders for a overall class grade. So this is the easiest 100% you can ever get. So just make sure you are here and responding to cold calls when prompted. As always, our Zoom expectations, please have your video on, mics off. I know there are more, but thank you, Ciara, Yabdi, Shakim, and Takia for having your cameras on. And make sure we are only using the chat when prompted. You guys have been super responsible with this, and I really appreciate it. It really helps streamline everything. Next up, as always, Google Classroom is where you can find all of your assignments, and as well as the Nearpod. We're getting really used to this. Remember that you do have homework that is due on Monday, and you can also find that in Google Classroom, and we will talk about that more at the end of class. So all assignments, whether homework or classwork, you will find in Google Classroom. And now I'm going to give you 30 seconds to make sure you have a constructive learning space set up so you can gather your materials. Shakim, can you please read aloud our materials that we need for today?
You need paper for Cornell notes, a writing utensil, Google assignment hold up, and Nearpod access. All other tabs closed.
Thank you very much. And Mahmoud, can you please read our agenda for the day?
Norms and the agenda, do now, oral drill, lecture, sense statements, and exit ticket.
Beautiful. Thank you guys very much for that. And we are going to get started. Your Do Now today is available as a Google form in your classroom assignments. I am going to pull that up right now, give you guys 15 seconds to get there. And we are going to put 4 minutes on the clock to complete the Do Now. 4 minutes on the clock for the do now. Go ahead and get started. Great, I have responses from Caleb, Ciara, and Kaishan. Great focus on how the environment in New England set them up to be different. $90 left. Great, Kayla, I have yours. Alonzo, I have yours. Shakeem, I have yours. Awesome focus on the environmental factors that made these regions different. Heaven, I have yours. Alexis, I have yours. Takia, I have yours. Yabdi, I have yours. Giovanni, I have yours. We're really focusing on the geography. That's really good. That's really important. Take the next 15 seconds to go ahead and submit your do now. Great, go ahead and submit your do now if you have not done so yet. Awesome, thank you, Dwayne. And let's take 15 seconds to redirect ourselves back to the Nearpod for our oral drill. Take 10 more seconds to get back to the Nearpod. Great, and we are going to do our fill in the blank. You are going to have 3 minutes to complete the fill in the blank oral drill. 3 minutes on the clock. Go ahead and get started. Great, Giovanni. Great, Shakim. Got yours as well as Lonzo. $90 more seconds. One more minute. I have responses from Ciara, Mela, Shaquasia, Giovanni, Takia, Caleb, Mahmoud, Alonzo, Shakim, Skyan. Good job, 9 out of 9. Taishan, Leah, and Eddie. 30 more seconds. Yapti, another 9 out of 9. $15 more seconds. Go ahead and finish submitting those. Great. And time is up. So go ahead and submit if you have not done so. Looks like I've just about everybody. Great. Sorry, I don't know if I just restarted that for you. So yesterday we kicked off our new unit by broadly exploring period 2, in particular, some of the colonial differences. And today we're going to zoom in on one of the first colonies established in North America, Jamestown, Virginia. And I want to kick off our class today with a question. Imagine you were going to create a settlement in a faraway land. Is this the list of people that you would bring with you? And what's problematic about this list? I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds to zoom in on this list. Really look at the type of people that were coming to Jamestown. Okay, 10 more seconds to really look at this list. Now, in the collab board, I want you to share what is problematic about that list. Do so for 45 seconds. Make sure you like and heart each other's responses. Okay, I see that we're noticing that there were no women. I want you guys to start adding responses about the type of men that were coming. The no women thing is a problem. Great. Remember to go through and heart each other's responses. Mela, your response is a mood. Great. So I see that we're definitely highlighting that there is basically one person of each job. Both Shaquem and Caleb mentioned that there aren't a lot of men that can do the work. So I'm going to flash back to this list. There are 47 gentlemen. I will take a hand. What kind of man do you think a gentleman was from the year 1607? What kind of work do you think he did? Mela.
I think they just had like a regular job or like were unemployed or something.
Okay, so it's not a very good movie, but if you guys have seen Pocahontas, the Disney movie, the Count Ratigan, he's not Ratigan. I can't even remember his name. That's how forgetful of a villain he is. But the guy that says, "See how I glitter," that's a gentleman. He's not the guy that's doing the work. He's the guy that's there because he wants to get rich quick. And if you have 110 men and 50 of them cannot do work, is your colony going to be successful? It's going to be a spoiler alert, probably not. So today we are going to look into Jamestown, what made it so problematic, and why it had all of these issues. But we're also going to jump in and try to figure out, how did it get better? How did Jamestown end up being the first successful English colony? So we are going to transition into a really quick lecture today on Jamestown. Kayla, can you please read today's main inquiry?
How did Jamestown overcome its early struggles and develop into a successful colony?
Great, that is our main question for the day. I'm going to give you guys 15 seconds to jot that down in your Cornell notes. Sorry guys, I just accidentally closed out of Nearpod, so you might have to give me a second. I'm waiting for something like this to happen. Should not be an issue now. Yes, you guys are all still there. I knew I was gonna have an issue. Great. So we are going to do our lecture on Jamestown, which was founded in the year 1607. So our first slide. Since Jamestown was originally founded as a joint stock company, one of its primary purposes was just to make money. In fact, the investors who helped fund it expected a profit from Jamestown. That is part of the reason why there are so many gentlemen founding this first colony. Because the Spanish had found so much silver and gold in South America, the English assumed it would be the same thing in North America. However, there was no gold and things did not go as planned. So again, joint stock companies are looking for a profit, and they were hoping to find as much gold as possible. On top of the fact that there was no gold, the settlers were attacked by the Powhatan Indians 3 days after arriving. And this started a very difficult relationship between these two groups, the Native Americans and the settlers or colonizers. This difficult relationship between the Native Americans and colonizers was one that went between open warfare and mutual trade. So the Native Americans and colonizers would go back and forth between open warfare and mutual trade. According to the challenge of, adding to the challenge for the settlers of Jamestown was that they arrived completely unprepared for this new world. Many of these settlers, as we mentioned earlier, had no skills, and there were absolutely zero women to help start a settlement. And so in the winter of 1609 to 1610, again, the winter of 1609 to 1610, the colony barely survived. And this is what is called as the starving time. So the starving time is the winter of 1609 to 1610. And the colony barely survives. And 2 out of every 3 settlers died from food shortages and Powhatan attacks. 2 out of 3 people died. The settlers ended up abandoning the colony and went back and returned back when they met a supply ship in 1610. So they were on a boat ready to go back to England when they came across a resupply ship in 1610 where they were told to return to Jamestown. In the first 3 years of Jamestown, of the 6,000 people who came to the settlement by 1624, 6,000 people came to the settlement by 1624, and only 3,400 survived. So nearly half of them die in just 7 years. "15 more seconds to finish the notes on that slide. However, despite these initial hardships, the colony ends up becoming profitable when it discovers the plant tobacco. They began to grow tobacco and ship it to England and managed to start turning a profit. However, it was eventually taken over by King James as a royal colony. Where King James declares that tobacco is a cash crop, make sure you write that down, a cash crop, C-A-S-H, crop. And cash crops are grown in the colonies and then exported to European markets. And by becoming a royal colony and discovering tobacco, by 1700, Jamestown was thriving. And by the time of the American Revolution, Virginia was the wealthiest of the 13 colonies and also had the largest population. So by 1700, Jamestown is thriving, And by the time we get to the American Revolution, Virginia is not only the wealthiest, but also has the largest population. And next Monday, we are going to do a deep dive into really trying to figure out how we go from starving time to the wealthiest colony in about 100 years. But here, we are going to stop the actual content lecture and switch to some skills practice. Shout out to Heaven and Arabia for using the chat to help fill in content gaps from the lecture. I know it's a lot of information. So now that we have some background knowledge, I am going to walk you through an additional annotation system that you guys used in AP World History, but we are going to use a lot in this class as well, which is the since statements. This is a faster way to analyze primary source documents that you should absolutely use on the AP exams. You are going to use your four corners and zoom in on only one, and write a statement beginning with the word since. The sentence should explain how that corner, why that corner helps you explain why that document supports the argument. So again, that corner helps you explain how your document supports your argument. And to get a 1 out of your 7 points on the AP exam, the DBQ, you need to write this since statement for at least 3 documents. So again, this is a statement that starts with the word since, where you zoom in on one of those 4 corners. And I am going to show you how to do that using a primary source document. So this is how I would write a since statement. Be sure to follow along and take notes with my steps. First, I'm going to look at the source line to determine what I know and what I can use. I notice that there isn't a specific author, but it is an advertisement. And the context is pretty vague. It still just says 17th century, which isn't super specific and doesn't tell me a whole lot. I know that Jamestown was founded in 1607 and started to use tobacco, but that's pretty general still. It's nothing really specific I can use with it with that date. I'm assuming that because it's an advertisement and tobacco is a cash crop, that the audience must be British citizens because of this being an advertisement. And the purpose is obviously because it's an advertisement, it's trying to convince people to buy Virginia tobacco. My question is asking me how Jamestown became a successful colony. So I think the best way for me to actually explain that with this document is to use either the audience or the purpose to help explain how that happened. So I think I'm going to use the fact that it's an advertisement as its purpose for my since statement. So I think while looking at this type of advertisement, I'm going to zoom in on purpose and write a since statement that says something like, since Jamestown relied heavily on tobacco for its economic success, it isn't surprising that advertisements in England would be created to praise the quality of Virginia tobacco. Again, my question is, how did Jamestown succeed? And so with my since statement, I'm not only saying that Jamestown needed tobacco to succeed, so I answer my question, but I also use that purpose corner for my since statement to get that full point. Yeah, I think that's the since statement I'm going to use. So since Jamestown relied heavily on tobacco for its economic success, it isn't surprising that advertisements in England would be used to praise the quality of Virginia tobacco. Now I'm going to step out of my think aloud and give some extra context. Everybody is going to have different strengths when it comes to sense statements. In every document, you have 4 corners, which means in theory, you could write 4 sense statements. I, for example, because I love history and I know a lot of like key terms and things like that, when I write my own sense statements, I feel most comfortable using the historical context corner. So just remember that it's not about finding the perfect corner so much as it is writing a really good sense statement. So never feel pressure. And let's say you're really good with historical context and audience sense statements, really use those and make sure you're getting those points. We are going to practice all types of sense statements throughout this class, but it's really about finding the ones that you are great at and perfecting your skills and then filling the gaps in wherever we are, whenever we have issues. So looking back to the Nearpod, I want you to contribute to the collab board. What is the purpose or the point of the sense statement? Go ahead and take 1 minute. Why are we writing sense statements? Great. I like that we're focusing both on the practicality of we want to pass this exam and also what the sense statement does to emphasize our essay. So we are going to transition to your exit ticket. It is a Google form where you are going to look at that tobacco advertisement and complete full 4-corner annotations, a significant statement, and write your own sense statement for this advertisement. So again, you are writing all corners and, oh wait, you're not writing a sense statement, you're writing a significant statement. Again, the question is, how did Jamestown succeed? So once you submit your exit ticket and your Cornell notes, you are free to go. Thank you guys so much for a really great first almost full week. And I'm excited for next week. I am going to share my screen so you guys can look at the engagement tracker before you leave. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I have not finished putting in today's attendance, so this isn't exactly what is going to be in your grade book, but your classwork grades are fully updated. Shout out to Leah, Kamaya, Takia, several of you guys reached out about your grades last night. I'm sorry, I can't remember everybody, but you guys did a great job of being proactive, asking for feedback. So your grades will be fully updated with the engagement tracker by 3 this afternoon. And if you have any questions about your grade, please email those to me at 3 and I will happily work to make sure all of our grades are reflecting our best work. Please make sure to do your homework and submit that. That is going to have an impact on your grade. And I'm extending the due date for the summer packet. If you can get it to me by Monday, I will not count it as late. So you can still get a full 100%. So let's do that. And here is the engagement tracker. I'm going to slowly scroll through. When you see your name in your grade, please reach out. I also do not have excused absence forms yet. So there are still some, like I said, it will change. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Okay. Great, I'm gonna scroll through one more time. Again, I might not have your excuse. So like if you had a technical issue or something like that, sorry guys, I just got an email. So I have not put in excused absences. So if you had technical errors and weren't able to come to class one day because of a tech issue and you have that absence excused, that is gonna get fixed. We do not get excused absences confirmed until Fridays. So that's why you might see some slight issues like that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing so I can answer chats. Another thing that I wanna point out is I like to keep the forms at 0 points just because not all of them affect your grade. So for example, the Do Now quiz that we took yesterday, the grade on PowerSchool is the accurate one because technically it will read as 0 out of 0 points on Google Classroom. And again, oh, I also take corrections. So feel free to do corrections. And as long as you turned in the work on time, you will get a full 100% if you do corrections. Well, if you do everything correct and you do corrections, you can get up to a 100%. Yes, Giovanni.
How are we supposed to do corrections on a Google form?
So that's a great question. All I would ask is if you go through and find, like, let's say you missed questions 2, 3, and 5, I would just want you on either in a Google Doc or on a separate piece of paper, just write like number 2 and then say, I got this question wrong because I didn't realize, and then explain why the correct answer is correct. Does that make sense?
Where would I submit it at?
You can just email it to me.
Okay.
Okay, I have responses from Caleb, Mahmoud, Kaishan, Shakim, and Alexis. You are all free to go. Sorry, I know that was a lot of heavy stuff. I'm going to create a slide for Monday that has all of those policies that you guys can refer back to as well. And I will post that just generally to Google Classroom so that way you guys have that and can be reminded. Okay, I have responses from Caleb, Mahmoud, Kaishan, Shakim, Alexis, Giovanni, Kayla. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go because I have to teach AP Government in a few minutes. Jamal, you need to stay with me. You're not going anywhere. What? What? Your sound's not working, my dude. They're nothing. Mime it to me. Just kidding, don't do that. Okay, Ciara, I have your responses. And APUSH, go ahead and hop off and take a quick break before you go to your last class. I will see you at the river. Make sure you go to the river. Oh, bio's at the, there's no way bio's at the same time. Bio is not happening right now. How is it happening right now? How did they do that? I don't not believe it. How is there but okay, you're right. Okay, it's fine. Enjoy.
That's why I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Because I also have biology, but I also got physics. So what am I supposed to do?
Wait, how do you have both AP Bio and how do you have both of those?
I don't know.
Are you planning on staying in both of those classes?
No. But on my schedule it says to do physics.
Okay.
So do I just go to physics
next? I'd go to physics. Just go to physics.
All right.
Because this is something where if you end up staying in AP Bio, this would be an excused absence. Like as long as you go to physics, this wouldn't get held against you.
Okay, bye.
How did I not realize? That's great. Michael, Takia, and Alexis, can you guys go ahead and pop off so I can let AP Government in, please? Sorry, Alexis, can you unmute and clarify what do you mean by notes?